Hi peaches, it's Shaaba. Welcome back to my channel and thank you for clicking on another video. It is a Monday and you know what that means. It is time for us to dive deep into the a-holes. Why? Because it's a little bit of fun. It's a little bit of juicy drama. We can hopefully help a couple people out whilst expanding our own mindsets along the way. What's not to love? Before we do though, can I ask you a favor? No pressure, you don't have to do it, but if you could, just take a look. Just there. Can you see the little subscribe button? Is it pressed? Are you subscribed? If you're not and you would like to be, or you never thought about it and you're like, huh, why not? I really like this series. Then maybe you want to consider pressing that button. It's totally free for you, but it supports this channel more than you know, and nearly half of the people that watch these videos are not subscribed. So if you're one of them and you'd like to be a subscribed peach, alright, without further ado, let's go fishing for some a-holes. Am I the drama for calling my husband douchey over baby names? We have seen many a baby name drama over on this channel. The jury's out. Let's see. My husband and I, says OP, are expecting our second baby boy soon. Congratulations, my love. My husband is the first boy of the first boy. Wow, this is very Game of Thrones. You get the picture. His family passed down the dad's first or middle name to the firstborn son, which we did for our first, along with using my dad's name for the middle name. Okay, so wait, let me get this right. The dad's first name, which is the dad's first name, went down to your son, the first son, and your dad's first name was his middle name. Okay, I hear you. Tears were shed figuring out our first's name since my husband almost wasn't willing to include my dad's name, who passed away several years ago. That is really sad. And it's your husband, it's not your husband's family. Normally, it's the husband's family that we've seen in the past. But no, this is the husband like, my lineage, back off. So today, I broached the conversation of names with him for our next baby. Side note, did you know this is how you spell broach? Is this actually how you spell broach? It's one of those words that I've like heard but not seen. Every day is a school day, what can I say? So today I broached the conversation of names with him for our next baby. I mentioned that I would at least like my maiden name to be the middle name, to which he responded that he didn't want us to be the crazy hypophonated family. Of course not. You just want to be the family where everyone has the same name.
Nikki?
I immediately thought this response was stupid, especially considering that 1, my maiden name is a common name for a boy, and 2, we aren't hypophonating our last names. It would just be a middle name. Oh right, yeah, you asked for it to be a middle name. I was gonna say based on that logic, he doesn't like the first baby's name, but he doesn't. However, it's for a different reason. He didn't use hyphens for that one. He was just like, no, not your dad, only my dad. Not your blood, only my blood. I let him know that I didn't like the response and was making my case for why it was lame of him, paraphrasing him. At one point, in an attempt to summarize what I was thinking, I point out to him that he shot down my maiden name as a viable option because we would be the crazy hyphenated family, and it came across as being kind of douchey. There's the douchey comment. Being kind of douchey to me. He immediately called me disrespectful for saying this and wanted to halt the conversation altogether because he interprets this as me calling him a douche. I mean, if the shoe fits. Let's continue reading before we unpack. This only annoyed me more, says OP, because we have a pattern where anytime I'm frustrated with him, he has zero tolerance for it and turns it into a conversation all about how I don't realize how I come across, or I should have said it in another way instead of addressing the issue that was brought up in the first place. I kind of see it from both sides. Part of me is just like, oh, is this just an emotional manipulation tactic, even if husband doesn't realize that this is what he's doing, not actually addressing the problem at hand, instead making and picking up problems based on other things, splitting hairs to avoid the actual problem. I see that. At the same time, there is a lot of value in how you say things, and sometimes if we package our words in certain ways, we can achieve certain outcomes that we want more than if we package them differently or didn't think so much about how we package them, right? I don't know why sentences have now become presents, but there we are. It's festive season. Presents for everyone. To be fair, says OP, I do need to do better in how I share what upsets me, and other times he can't really handle even the slightest sound of frustration in my voice without it being deemed disrespectful. Sounds like your husband needs therapy. Like, I would love to unpack that and be like, where is this coming from? How many times have you been called disrespectful, husband? There's a particular set of loved ones who I really enjoy having around in my life that Jamie and I will have a conversation that is a conversation. It's not an argument. I'm not being like, oh, it's just heated words. It's not even really heated words. Like, it really is just a conversation where we're not agreeing. They'll be like, oh, don't argue. It really grates on me because I'm like, we're not arguing. This is not arguing. This is just disagreeing. And it just makes me think about why they feel that way. Why is it that they are so worried for us to not have the same opinion? Where has that gone wrong in the past that they've either witnessed or experienced that's instilled this fear in them. So same thing for husband here. What has happened in his past where the word disrespectful has been so loaded for him that you can't even sound a little bit frustrated? This as well is a prime example of something not being his fault, but still being his problem. Doesn't mean that you need to put up with it, OP. Let's finish reading though. I digress. So did I. But he is now angry at me for later pointing out that both my dad, who would be closer to 80 years old if he was still alive, and my brother both had their mum's maiden names as their middle name. What, so you're not allowed to point out a fact now? You're not allowed to speak facts. That's just unhealthy communication. So if my grandparents' generation and my dad's generation, which are really the equivalent of his great-grandparents and grandparents' generations, could handle having their wives' maiden names as a used middle name, and he can't, he's coming off as domineering, or I can't even think of the right word to describe it, hence why I said douchey the first time we discussed it. I also said I didn't realise we were like that. I'm getting the vibes, babe. I'm getting the vibes. Maybe domineering isn't the right word, but it certainly feels like there's a double standard involved. He's like, oh, my family heritage matters, but yours doesn't. And I'm assuming you saying I didn't realise we were like that is indicating to this level of seeming inequality because of the power dynamic of him being man, right? And you're being a woman. You're like, oh, why does your family matter more than my family? And he's like, oh, don't call me out. How can I make it your fault? Interesting. When I pointed that out, he told me that I was tearing him down and we couldn't continue the conversation like that. I now hate it when he does this because I feel like I'm not allowed to have any feelings that he doesn't like around him, or that I have to be absolutely perfect in how I share it for a conversation to ever occur about sensitive issues. I feel completely unheard too. So am I the drama for calling my husband douchey over baby names? Oh, it's annoying me because I kind of want to break the rules of the podcast, right? Because I kind of wish the question was, am I the drama for being annoyed at my husband's annoyance for the way that I communicate problems that are not being solved? Because if that was a question, I'd be like, no, absolutely not the drama. Are you the drama for calling your husband douchey? I can see so many teachers at home being like, Shaaba, why are you struggling to decide? Bro, he's clearly the douche. She's saying it how it is. I hear you. I don't know about this one because we don't know the full context of whether you were actually finding him really douchey or if you were thinking it was just inflammatory. To be fair, either way, it sounds like communicating with your husband is so frustrating. The fact that you can never get to the result because he shuts it down because he doesn't like the way that you communicate must be incredibly difficult to deal with. And even if you were actually finding him being a little bit douchey, you're entitled to say that. No, you're not the drama. I was considering whether it might have been a need more information, but it's not. You are not the drama. Ba-boom. That's it. I said it. It's done. Now, I feel like I'm being a little bit spicy in this. It's mostly because husband's really rubbing me out the wrong way. But the reason that I do this is because I honestly believe any way that you had voiced your frustration would have been the wrong way. I don't feel entirely convinced that he's doing it on purpose, but I do feel entirely convinced that husband is using some form of manipulative tactic in communication to avoid the issue. Therefore, no matter how you said it, he would have an issue because something would need to be said to avoid having that conversation. Does that make sense? The truth hurts. Sometimes we don't like the truth, and sometimes when we feel particularly angry at something, purple broccoli syndrome, if you don't know what I'm talking about, the purple broccoli syndrome, explained more in this video. TLDR, the hate comments, the pain, the criticism that actually affects us and hurts us the most is not the things that we know not to be true, like someone calling you a purple broccoli, but the things that you genuinely are insecure about because it speaks closer to an insecurity that you feel sad over, that you also agree with or are upset at yourself over. So I really think what's happened here is you have called it out as it is, and he is not ready to face that truth that you are not that kind of couple, but he's kind of acting as if you are, and that there's some form of double standard going on because actually you wanting your family's name in it is no different to him wanting his family's name in it, but he doesn't want to see it that way because he doesn't like the result. However you want to spin it to float your boat, husband, OP is not the drama, not for raising it, not for saying it, and not for explaining that they are unhappy with the way that communication happens. The one thing that I feel that is missing here, and that I would really advise OP to do, or anybody else who might be in a similar situation, is to make sure that when you are not in this argument, right, forget baby's name for a second, pop it to one side, have you actually spoken to your husband about the frustrations that you feel when you communicate? Because you're clearly aware of it. You know, you're saying it in this post, you're like, oh, I'm so frustrated, he does this to me all the time. Have you told your husband? Because, and yes, often, like I have had it too. Jamie and I have had that argument where you argue about how you argue, but it was one of the most constructive conversations we ever could have had. I have ADHD rage. I know it. I acknowledge it. If I'm in a stress position and something doesn't happen at the time that I need it to happen, I can blow up for no reason. I feel like Angie, you know, the little character from Inside Out. It's just like, yeah. And I also know that for me, that anger, my blood, it boils more and more when something is not addressed. I personally would so much rather someone be like, God, this is why I'm hurting. This is how I feel. Rah, 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 and get it out because that's how I communicate. So I guess it's just how I'm most familiar with digesting and interpreting and understanding feeling. Jamie, on the other hand, is the total opposite. He's like a tiramisu sponge. He sits there and he just needs needs to like absorb it all and understand how he feels for sometimes hours before he's able to talk about it. And it used to irritate both of us to no end. I would be like, God, just talk. I don't understand. I want to fix this. But the more I try and push, the more he would just shut down. Because similarly to him, he's like, I need time to understand this. I literally cannot have this conversation right now. And it's okay to have those different approaches. And what's really fantastic is knowing it. Because now, if we argue at any point, and I can sense I'm getting some resistance from you, Jamie, I know that it's not him intentionally just ignoring me or not wanting to talk. I'm like, okay, you need to have your moment. Go have a think about it, and we will address this when you're ready. And it's so much better than just, gah! So I hope you're able to have that conversation with your husband first and be like, hey, it kind of hurts me that you don't talk about it. I feel like we don't get closure on the issues because the conversations always lead to other points. And it's fine to discuss those other points as long as we can come back to these issues as well. Can we have a chat about why this offends you so? Why is it that it's disrespectful that I have a frustrating tone in my voice? And then maybe I'll end up in like some 30-minute crying husband therapy session that will totally enrich his life and make your relationship happier. See what other people have to say. Not the drama. Does your husband always act like this? We disagree. And OP says, I'd say yes. I'd also add that I start talking more quickly and loudly when I'm feeling shut down and frustrated, and he doesn't like that at all. He says it's the way that I share things that is the problem for him. Oh, I really want you guys to have that little bit of communication. And I also hope that people in this position know that this feeling is a double-edged sword. In one way, if you love someone and you understand that they respond better to a certain type of communication, if you are feeling able to, you can change that communication. In another way, how you feel in those moments is how you feel, and how you express them is how you express them. Like if I stub my toe on a sofa and I'm like, sometimes the noises that come out of us are inhuman, and the cats and the people will be like, oh my God, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, in the moment, it was primal. It's primal. I don't choose those reactions. The scream life chose me. So that sense of compromise can only go so far. I think at the same time, your husband also has to understand that this is how you react. We can't change how we feel. We can't change those primal reactions, but we can make a conscious effort to understand Betty is just a scream queen like that, you know? But we love her anyway. That's my epilogue. Toxic masculinity at its best. Sorry you've got such a fragile husband, not the drama. There isn't much you can tell him to do, but tell him to grow up. See, I feel like telling him to grow up will probably just be more inflammatory. Whilst I do agree that your husband is acting a little bit fragile, I think understanding the why of that would be really helpful. The one thing no marriage survives is contempt. Oh my gosh, that sounds so dramatic and like a fortune cookie. I cannot agree with this more though. To feel not considered, to feel not heard, and to feel not valued is just a horrible way to feel. And we're not supposed to feel like that by our loved ones. Ultimately, if you don't end up having this conversation with your husband, what's going to happen is you're just going to feel shut down and you're not going to feel like you can express how you feel at all. And I guarantee you, right, if this is a healthy relationship, your husband isn't going to want you to feel that way either. A relationship is teamwork. We're not inside each other's brains. As much as sometimes we want to be, or sometimes we forget the fact that we're not. Communication is key. Always. Alright, I feel like a lot of people will hopefully be able to resonate, and I'm really hoping that there's going to be a lot of conversations between couples tonight to be like, hey, you know when you say this, sometimes it makes me feel like that. And then you're going to be wildly stronger in your bonds, and I'm going to sleep happy knowing that's happened. Yay! Shloop! Am I the drama for returning the bag my husband bought me because I didn't want the rude sales assistant to get commission? That is effort, my friend. Ooh. OP says, I have never experienced a sales assistant being so rude to me before, so maybe I overreacted here, but last week I was looking for a birthday gift. There was only one free sales assistant, and I could tell that she didn't want me to approach her as she was intentionally avoiding eye contact and walking away when I was close. Dude, it is your job to be a sales assistant. The knock of self-esteem that I would have if I was like, okay, I need to go and speak to someone, and I went towards someone and they walked away from me, like on purpose. That's gonna install some drama right there. Oh no, I too would be like, excuse me, I need some help over here. I waited 10 minutes in the hope that another sales assistant would be free, but they weren't, and it was getting late, so I approached the original sales assistant. She pretty much brushed me off without helping me, so I went back to browsing on my own as my husband was going to meet me there. Oh, okay, because in my mind I was like, oh, maybe she was busy and you interpreted it as her walking away, but if she was just like entirely unhelpful. God, there are some stores that I go to, I'm like, I know the people here are gonna make me so sad. I feel you, it sucks. Let's carry on with the story. When my husband arrived, her entire demeanor changed and she suddenly wanted to do her job. The bitch. Oh my goodness. And this would irritate me. I feel you, OP. I'm getting annoyed over here for you. I was looking at a bag that I would have bought for myself if it wasn't for the rude sales assistant assistant. My husband asked me if I wanted to get it, but I said no, as a rude sales assistant would get the commission, as by this point she had come over and was offering to help us. I question though, like, are you sure it's a commission store? Because honestly, I don't know how I would know that. Maybe it works differently. This is probably in the States, but in the UK, like, I'm not sure if many people work on commission in stores. A few days later, my husband surprised me with the exact same bag. Oh, regardless of how the story goes, brownie badge for your husband, because that is a cute little thing to do. Wow. I asked him if he got it from the same place and if it was the same sales assistant who had helped him. It was, so I told him that I wanted to return it. Oh, the pettiness is real. I'm kind of here for it though. No, in reality, I'd be like, look, life is too short, babe. You wanted the bag, you got the bag. How sweet of your husband. You didn't have to deal with her. If she had done something incredibly rude, I would understand. Like if she was discriminatory, like unlawful, then I would get it and I'd be like, no, I can't believe I do feel this is a little bit petty. I question though, if you didn't get it because you didn't want her to get commission and you told your husband, you're like, no, because I don't want this person to benefit, why did he go back and be like, hello person, yes, this would make my wife happy, credit card? Like, why? He knows that she was rude and dismissive when I tried to ask her for help, but he still didn't want me to return the bag as he said that I would be missing out because of a random stranger. This is true. To him, the commission isn't a big deal, but I don't think that she should benefit after how rude she was. If he had bought the bag with a different sales assistant, I would have kept it, but since he didn't, I returned it, and now he's upset because I returned his gift. Am I the drama? Wow. Can we just say, like, regardless of right, wrong, whatever, badge-wise, like, yeah, you're the drama. Like, this is dramatic, babe. This is diva moment right here. Is it worthy of being diva moment, I guess is the question. And I guess it's really subjective. It's up to you if it really mattered that much to you. Do you know what I would do? If I was feeling this strongly about it, I would have called and emailed the store and said, hey, or gone back to the store, right? As I was passing it one day and been like, hey, this person that served me was really not very kind. And there was a huge double standard. And I don't know why that is, but they are losing you business. Did you return the bag and then get the bag again with a different sales assistant? Because you could have done that. If you were going to go this far, right? And then your husband would also be happy and you would be happy because you have the bag. This feels like there's a saying. Wait, do you know it? If you do, put the comment down. It's not coming to me. Gosh darn. You are cutting your nose off to spite your face. I didn't mean to actually hit my nose. That kind of hurt. But that is what you're doing. You wanted the bag. Your husband wanted to give you the bag. And now you're doing something that makes you ultimately not happy because you wanted the bag, babe. Get yourself the bag. I know my badge. I'm ready. It is an everybody sucks here. That is my badge. You really are dramatic. It is petty. Am I saying it's wrong? No. Am I saying it's petty? Yes. Am I saying you drama? Yes. Because he's drama, babe. It's drama. Your husband also sucks a little bit because, bro, why are you getting the bag when you know your wife legitimately and specifically didn't get the bag because of this person? Why go back to that person? That was just silly. And obviously the sales assistant sucks. I will say though, without knowing if they work on commission too, like you really could just only be making yourself unhappy because I don't know. I'm doubting the fact that these places still do commission. I don't know shops that do that. Not the drama. I would go back to the establishment, find a different sales associate, return the bag, and then immediately buy it from the new sales associate. Old associate would lose a commission, new friendly associate would get the commission. Is that how commission works? I'm trying to think, like maybe you don't get commission until after a set period of time as a salesperson. So if that person's had it for over 30 days, then after that your commission will come through. You have the bag you want and petty revenge. Everyone's won it except the rude associate. That is objectively, considering that you are already committed, you are in that car of pettiness going along your merry way. This is the only right way, right? This is the only right decision. You are the drama to someone else because you are more concerned with sticking it to a sales associate than appreciating a gift. And I say this as Patti LaBelle, queen of the Pettilonians. While petty is never out of my way, I would never choose petty towards a stranger over appreciation towards my loved one. This is a fantastic point. Call the manager and report her, but a return? That just spits in your husband's face. Maybe I'm just being particularly, I don't know, selfish in this moment, but saying appreciation towards a loved one, the other loved one is yourself. You deserve that too. It's not just for your husband, it's also for you. You wanted the bag. And it's a shame, you're right, to put the sales associate who could have just been having a bad day as well, but for whatever reason, like, is nothing to you, right? Is a transient person in your entire world galaxy of millions of people that you will come to know and be exposed to. Maybe not millions, but thousands for sure, right? My point being, it is sad that you're prioritizing that person over yourself and your husband. Calling to report would have been a good idea. Info, are you sure the store pays commission? Because most places don't these days, and OP has not responded. You are the drama. This is honestly so petty. I can't imagine wasting my time doing this. Yikes. Well, in one sense, I really do see this. In another sense, sometimes things are just that's really important to you. And I can understand that feeling of being made to feel really small. Maybe it's affecting you more than other people because of something else that you might have experienced, or because you're having a particularly bad day. And it's human nature sometimes to link like an item to a memory, a place, a feeling. And if that's not a nice feeling, that item can then feel a little bit tainted. So I can understand, genuinely, whilst I do think it's petty, I can understand why you're like, look, in this case, every time I use that bag, every time I pick up that bag, every time I go in my wardrobe and I see that bag, it's going to make me think, wow, how sad is it that people are rude like that? So if this is your way of reducing that bad juju, I understand. I just also would have kept the bag. Like, do your petty thing, babe. You go in all your petty glory, and then you get the bag back so that you can still like the bag. Put yourself and your husband first, for sure. Ooh, oh my goodness, I feel like this is not a straightforward episode today. All right, 3 for 3, flip. Am I the drama for making my kids spend their birthday money? Intriguing. I have 2 kids, a 13-year-old boy and an 11-year-old girl. My older son goes out with friends frequently, once every week or 2, especially this summer, not during the school year. And sometimes those outings are more than friends' houses. Sometimes it's arcades or trampoline parks, and when he's invited by his friends, he has to pay, which I'm fine with. Oh, this wasn't going where I thought it was. Let's read. My son's birthday was in October, and he got roughly 200 in cash. He blew through all of it by April. I'm gonna sneeze. Excuse me. I told him that I would be taking his own money for his own outings, which he protested and protested, but eventually he sucked it up. I don't know how I feel about this. Now that he has run out, since then he's been asking me for money for his outings. I asked him if he has any money, and he always says no, which means he can't go. He'll just go to his other parent and they will give him the money. My significant other thinks it's kind of mean to not give him money where he needs it, especially since the birthday money is gone and we don't give our kids an allowance. So you don't give your kids an allowance. You expect it as a maintenance of social strategy. Oh dear. So am I the drama? I don't think I'm wrong, because if he wants to go somewhere, it makes sense that the cost comes out of his pocket. I mean, yeah, if he has an income and he doesn't. All right, I've got my badge. You are the drama. That is it. You are the drama. Let me unpack this now. Gosh, I was definitely more firm in that conviction. I know what I'm thinking on this one. Look, I get it. We're on hard times. Cosy lives, and it's difficult because I also kind of want some more information. The more information being your sense of privilege in terms of financial status. Is it that you have the money and you're just choosing not to give it? Like, do you have the disposable income to be like, gosh, once or twice a month, my kid's going out doing XYZ and I can, but I'm just choosing not to because, gosh darn it, he should fund his own living. Is it that? Or is it the case of we're really strapped for cash right now and I can't believe that he had 200 for his birthday. Now he doesn't, but he still asked me for this money and I don't know where to get it from. Like, it's stressing me out because I can't actually afford for him to go to do these things. If it's that latter, I would understand. And I think what you'd need to say is, hey, we're not in a fantastic financial position. Like, just being really honest and being like, wow, this stuff costs a lot of money and this is money that we don't necessarily have. So if you're wanting to join these things, it would be a good idea for you to put aside some of your birthday money for the rest of the year for said outings. Having said that, these outings are expensive. Cosy lives, dude. Like, just the world is so expensive now. Going out anywhere, whether it be to town where you have to pay for parking, I get it, teens are not parking, but, you know, like places to eat where food is now significantly more expensive than it used to be. And then to get into an arcade or a museum or whatever, or aquarium, whatever it is, wherever it is the cool kids go, which I'm sure is not an aquarium. That's just my inner bisexual showing, okay? My point is, the world is expensive. And then maybe you want to buy things like gifts and stuff whilst you're there too. It's pricey. And can I just be honest, like £200, again, like, is a lot of money, but also not a lot of money to be saying that he blew through it all by April. Like, October to April is a really long period of time. And also, it's his birthday money. I kind of feel like when you get money for your birthday, you don't spend it on chores or like everyday things. It's money for you to have for something special for yourself. That would be like me saying, hey mum, here's £50 for your birthday. Enjoy. But also, if you want to go to the gym, you should probably take that out of the £50 that I've given you. Just say it's not sitting right with me. That's not typically, I know there's no like rules on it, but conventionally, that's not how birthday money would be treated. I think if your son was continuously asking you for more money to buy things out there, like say you were going to an aquarium and the son was like, oh, and I would also like an additional £20 please so that I can buy something from the gift shop. That's when you can be like, well, hon, if you want gift shop stuff, that's more than just the social activities of going out with your friends. So maybe you want to put your birthday money towards that. I'd understand that. But for the actual outings, it kind of feels like this is just what kids do. And if there is no way for him to have allowance, how else is he going to be making that money in? Like, what do you expect him to do? He doesn't have a job like you do. I definitely feel like the older generation can forget that 1, things are bloody expensive. 2, the people that you interact with do not have the same life experience as you. And 3, just generally the world now is very different in how it functions to the world when you were kids. My grandparents all the time will be like, oh, it was really easy to have fun time outside. We would play cards and ball and blah, blah, blah. Like, kids don't do that nowadays. That's not where socialization happens. So yeah, Grandpa Bill, maybe a kid is wanting to play for the PSP network, but that's because all of his friends are on there. Just like back in your day, if everyone hung out at the sweet shop, if there was an entrance fee for the sweet shop, you'd all be paying the entrance fee for the sweet shop. So yeah, you're the drama. Okay, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. You are the drama. If you want your son to spend his own money, figure out a realistic way for him to make his own money. Pay him for doing chores, let him earn it through academics or other pursuits, or find him a job. Otherwise, you're just being unnecessarily mean. I do agree with this, with the caveat that if this is coming from a place of you not being able to afford it, just be honest and transparent and be like, hey, this stuff costs money, babe, and we can't afford that right now. A lot of people can't. But either way, posing it as like you blew through your birthday money. You didn't really blow through your birthday money. You spent it over December, January, very much. 6 months, bro. You spent it over 6 months. Blowing it would be like spending it all in the first 2 days on something that he would never use. That doesn't seem to be what happened here. So your son blew through his birthday money at the rate of about $7.69 per week. Yes, you are the drama. Is that really the math? So 6 months times 4 weeks is 24. 200 divided by 24 is about $8.30. It's great to have that perspective. You are the drama. Oh my goodness, a 13-year-old blew through 206 months. The horror. He's 13, for goodness sakes. I think you're being ridiculous. With respect, I do too. Alright, let's do one more floop. Am I the drama? Multiple people commented. This is the vibe. Multiple people commented on my drinking, so I stopped. And now they are annoyed at me. OP, a 32-year-old man, says, a few people in my life have made the odd comment here and there, sometimes in jest, that I drink a lot. Interesting. Isn't it funny, like the context and the world that opens from one sentence alone? Let's read. I usually laugh it off, take it as a joke, whatever. And then 2 weeks ago, my spouse said to me quite directly after I got home from a boozy Saturday afternoon picnic in the park with a friend where we had mimosas and snacks. I don't know why I said mimosas, so like posh mimosas and snacks. Reading and writing poetry that you seem to be drinking a lot lately. So this, coming from my spouse, made it click in my head, and since then I haven't touched a single drop of alcohol. Okay, it's only been 2 weeks, but it isn't hard or a struggle, says OP. I'm not trying to not drink alcohol, I simply stopped. But now, since then, those same people are acting annoyed at me for not drinking when we're hanging out together. Why aren't you drinking? But we're all having some wine. What's the problem? Things like this. And my spouse especially is acting like I'm in some way insulting them or spiting them for saying something. I have so many thoughts. When we spoke about it this morning, they asked me, how long are you going to keep this up? And I replied, until you apologize. There's a roller coaster this post, which made them angry, and they started speaking in a very agitated tone and raised voice. I'm not going to apologize for my opinion, they said, which I agree with. I'm not avoiding drinking to spite them. I'm avoiding drinking until they realize that it isn't true that I have a drinking problem. This post is making me think all sorts of things. Wow. If you're anything like me right now, I started off being like, you're not the drama. And I'm increasingly feeling like OP is the drama. But let's finish and let's see. They are all acting like I'm being spiteful or something, which I don't think I am. In response to a concern that I drink a lot, I stopped drinking. If the concern disappears, then I will be able to start drinking again. Isn't this reasonable, or am I the drama? And there's an edit here. When my spouse asked how long I'll be doing this for, and I replied, until you apologize, those are the words I used, but it really wasn't what I meant. What I meant was, until you no longer think that I drink too much. It just came out wrong. Did you tell them that that's not what you meant? Because I kind of feel like that's the entire crux of this issue, right? Wait. So you're drinking, and you're drinking enough for your friends to notice and say, you seem to be drinking a fair amount lately. And as a reader here, it feels a little validated because it's not just your partner saying it, it is also your friends. You're saying a few people in your life have made this comment, and you usually laugh it off. Sometimes it's in jest. Sometimes I feel like when things are said in jest, like there is an element of truth, right? To every word that is spoken, there is an element of truth. 99% of the time that is the case. And then you're like, no, I'm just not going to drink anything. And look, I don't find this difficult. Cool. All of this fine so far. Totally fine. Except then your friends are like, oh, come on, like partake. Which is a little bit weird on them. And then when asking, is this a permanent thing now? Are you just sober? Are you teetotal? You're like, well, yeah, until you say sorry. All right, I'm getting this right. And they're like, no, hang on. We don't need to apologize for raising a concern, for having an opinion, for sharing it with you that, hey, we've just noticed that you're drinking a fair amount. And then you're going, well, yeah, I'm not doing it in spite. I'm doing it, quote, until you realize it's not true that I have a problem. And then you're saying it's not spiteful. It sounds like it's spiteful. And the biggest problem for me is you say if that concern disappears, then I will be able to start drinking again. Like, no, you should be in control of your drinking habits. And especially by saying until you apologize. Again, you know, sometimes we say things because sometimes that's how we really feel. It feels like you're like, oh, I am offended that you are thinking that way. At the same time, like if your friends are feeling that kind of way, with respect, I don't feel like that's something to take offense at. It sounds like your friends and your partner are looking out for you. They're like, hey, just notice you're drinking a fair amount, you know, like everything okay? Because it can be an addictive substance. And it's great. You've made your point. That's it. You're not drinking. Cool. But like, that's your decision. Don't put that on them and then be like, oh, when you take it back. Take what back? Their concern for you? Because it's true, at the time they felt that way, right? That is a true statement from them, like, whoa, what do you want them to take back? Is it just me that's really confused in that way? I'm deliberating between you are the drama, but also everybody sucks here. My everybody sucks here would be mostly you are the drama and a small everybody sucks here. Just because I don't like this idea of the peer pressure of being like, oh, why aren't you drinking? We've all had some, like, what's the problem? Having said that, if I put myself in that position, knowing that somebody often drinks a lot and now has gone teetotal, I too would be like, hey, why aren't you drinking? Not in like a judgy way, but just like a, what's going on? So okay, I rescind my everybody sucks here and I confirm my you are the drama. That is my bad. Yes, that feels right. I also want to qualify my entire verdict with the fact that I do not drink. I am teetotal, sober, whatever you would phrase it. By choice, I don't have an addiction. I've not had an addiction. Honestly, I'm just not a massive fan of the taste of alcohol. If there was a cocktail there and I was forced to drink it, I'd be like, okay. But like, it's just not something that interests me. Partly because I've also seen what alcohol does to a lot of people, and I'm not like a massive fan of people who are not in control of themselves when they are super drunk and therefore make people feel unsafe. Like, that's not an environment that I particularly love to be in, or one that I feel very comfortable kind of being around. So maybe that's also influencing my judgment. I would be so intrigued, Peaches, especially if you do drink, to see what your verdict is. Please do let me know downstairs in the comment section. Just remember to be kind. Should we see what other people have to say? Everybody sucks here, apart from your spouse. This person says that they were surprised when you said until you apologize, and they were on your side until this. You say your spouse pointed out you had been drinking more, you agreed to stop drinking, and then you turn it around on the friends for being concerned. This is my problem too. And then saying, well, actually, you saying that you're avoiding drink until you realize it isn't true. That is spite. You're doing it out of spite, not because excess drinking is bad for you. And this person ultimately concludes it's an arsehole move to encourage someone to drink when they don't want to. I totally agree with this sentence, and I definitely felt that way initially with regards to the context of this post. But then personally, when I put those sentences, right, what's going on? Why aren't you drinking? We're all having some wine, to a situation where you are known for drinking a fair amount, where people have called you up in the past for how much you drink, and now you're just not drinking at all, I would totally expect these comments to be coming out of people's mouths. It depends, right, on the tone that's being said. If they're like, why aren't you drinking? Go on, drink some, please, have some. Why aren't you having some? That's very different to like, why aren't you drinking? We're having some wine. Like, what's up? You normally drink, you normally partake. Two very different vibes, and it's really hard to understand context and tone when it's just in a text post. Everybody sucks here. You, for only stopping out of spite. You may think the ability to stop means that you don't have a problem, but it could still mean that your problem's not chronic drinking, but binge drinking. A fantastic point. One that I did not think of. And then, because if they're really concerned about you drinking, they should be fine with you stopping completely. For a person with a problem, there's no such thing as hitting a sweet spot, like drinking just enough to be fun company, but not more than that. I totally appreciate this insight. And again, I do think it's like a difference in tone. I think the other thing that we have to remember is we're obviously seeing this from OP's point of view, and OP definitely does have a level of spite in them. Not that I think it's been reported in like a particularly biased way. It does sound quite neutral, but to me, and this is an assumption on my part, I'm just reading it as if the friends were like, what's up? Not drink. OP's actually responded to this one and said, that is quite intelligent, thank you. And isn't that wonderful? That's why I love doing this series here on YouTube, but also why I love seeing this forum online. I do think that most of the time the pylons on Reddit and the opinions are not fantastic, but little golden moments like this just restore my faith in humanity a little. Because someone's been like, hey, in my experience, maybe you have an issue binge drinking, and they're like, wow, this is not something I've thought about before. Thank you so much for sharing your vulnerability. How wonderful is that? Do you see how awesome the power of the internet internet can be. Actually, I think that's a wonderful place to end today. Thank you so much for joining me with today's fishing expedition. What do you think, Peaches? Do you agree with my badges? Do you not? It's totally fine either way. Just remember to be kind if you are going to be in the comment section. Do give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you'd like to see more. Remember that our podcast 1-800-DRAMA is also available for you to follow on Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to your podcasts, should you wish to get more of this kind of content. And I will catch you next time with another video. Be kind and have a great day. Bye.